In the quiet town of Haverfordwest, Wales, something strange began unfolding behind closed doors. Twin girls, June and Jennifer Gibbons, were born in 1963, identical in appearance, but something about them was different. From a young age, June and Jennifer spoke very little to anyone, except each other. They developed a private language, incomprehensible, rapid, and chillingly synchronized. Teachers and classmates noticed the eerie silence. The twins walked in perfect unison, mirrored each other's movements, and refused to make eye contact. As they grew older, their behavior became more unsettling. They isolated themselves, locked in their room for hours, writing dark, violent stories. They created disturbing characters, lives filled with murder, possession, and cruelty. Their fiction started to blur with reality. The twins became known as the Silent Twins. At home, they were inseparable. If one moved, the other followed, an invisible tether between them. They developed mirror rituals, brushing hair at the same time, blinking in unison. Even their breaths seemed synced. At school, they became more withdrawn. They were bullied for being creepy and weird. In response, the girls began refusing to talk altogether. They fell into what doctors called selective mutism. Their parents were deeply concerned, but nothing seemed to break the silence between them and the world. A therapist was brought in. He tried games, art, and one-on-one sessions, but they refused to engage unless they were together. Eventually, the family was advised to separate them for treatment, believing their bond was pathological. When they were separated into different boarding schools, their mental states collapsed. Both stopped eating and fell into catatonic states. One wrote in her diary, "We are like one person split into two. When we are apart, we are nothing. Dead." They were finally reunited, but something had changed. Their writing turned darker. They began to plot crimes in their stories, and in real life, their writings became obsessed with death, power, and control. One story involved a doctor poisoning his victims through ice cream. They created imaginary universes and ruled over them like gods. Their fictional worlds were always violent and chaotic. Their behavior at home became more erratic. They laughed at strange times, sometimes crying in unison with no reason. They began recording audio diaries, speaking only to each other, muttering in code. Their parents discovered their diaries, hundreds of pages filled with disturbing thoughts, sometimes about hurting others. Then came the fire. They set a building ablaze near their home, the first of many acts of arson. The police found them laughing softly nearby. They didn't speak. They never resisted. Over the next few weeks, they vandalized buildings, shoplifted, and set more fires. The court deemed them a danger to society, but also mentally unfit for prison. They were committed to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric institution for the criminally insane. Doctors were stunned. The twins would go for weeks without speaking, then suddenly burst into laughter or rage. Their medical reports described them as intelligent but bizarrely dependent on one another. At times, they refused to eat, remaining motionless for days, almost like they were trying to vanish. Then something chilling happened. They began to talk about death. One had to die, and so the other could live. Jennifer told June, "I'm going to die. We both know it. It's the only way." As days passed in Broadmoor, Jennifer became increasingly withdrawn, pale, slow, silent. June began writing frantically in her journal again. June wrote, "Something's happening. She's slipping away. She's decided, and I can feel it. She's leaving me behind." The twins began whispering about freedom, how one must die so the other could live. Jennifer seemed almost relieved. On the day of their transfer to another facility, Jennifer told June, "This is it. I'm going to die today." Midway through the trip, Jennifer slumped over. She never regained consciousness. At the hospital, doctors were baffled. No injuries, no illness. Jennifer Gibbons was dead. The cause of death, acute myocarditis, sudden inflammation of the heart, but no signs of infection, trauma, or poison. June stood nearby. She didn't cry. She just said, "She's gone, like we planned." Within hours of Jennifer's death, June began speaking fluently to staff. Her voice was calm, confident. It shocked everyone. Doctors called it a psychological breakthrough, as if Jennifer's death broke the spell.